Welcome to the Corey Coleman Studios. We're here right off of, I don't know what
Are you trying to do Carlisle?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Is it more like this?
We're in the middle of Fantastic Fest here in Austin.
Yes.
Which means Carlisle is fully submerged in that, so he's not here.
Yeah.
So I need a surrogate, if you would.
See, I'm submerged in it too, but, you know, I still care about my friends.
Oh, no, come on. Here we go. Now, you know, that's gonna make him all pissed off, and now he's going to come back and it's going to start a whole
He's not going to listen to this.
That's right. He's not going to hear it. No, actually, with doing Fantastic Fest, because, you know, he writes for two other people.
Yeah.
So he gets into that. He writes for them, and then, you know, it's like at least two of us doing this for our part.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, hey, man, is it all right if I bring in, you know, Cyrus, let him sit in your place? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. He's like,
yeah, the acronym still fits, so.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. A couple of colons with K and C.
Exactly.
Man, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired. I imagine I know you're a little tired.
I can't take this, man. I don't know. This festival is what, 8 days?
Yeah, 8. Well, sort of. It's really 7, but they call it 8.
And let me tell you, man, I have had a blast with this.
Yeah?
This Fantastic Fest, for people who don't know, you are much more veteran of this festival than I am, so you should probably tell people what it's about.
Yeah, this is, I think it's my 4th year of it. And yeah, 4th year. It's been going on 5 years. But, yeah, it's a collection of genre films, really. That the real appeal is, though, the appeal is twofold. One, it's all genre, so it's fantasy, horror, science fiction, mystery, martial arts type films, stuff
comedy,
like that. Yeah, it's some comedy.
There's even they even like went out of their way to say Western.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that's more genre oriented. They've thrown in a couple things that aren't here and there, but generally speaking, it's mainly that. And the biggest appeal is 90% of it's all in one location. So unlike other film festivals like South by Southwest, when you're running your ass all over town, carting around your laptop and shit, and here you just go to the theater next door.
Yeah, it's all pretty much in one location. They've had a few at the Paramount Theater here in town. It's the Paramount Theater. Everybody wants to say it's our grand historical theater, and I hate that shit, man. I like the theater itself.
I like the concept of it, and I think it's beautiful looking. But God, they just need to rip out those seats and put something that doesn't make my butt want to just leave my body and go take a vacation somewhere, because that is the most uncomfortable shit I have ever sat on.
Man, I went to go see a movie on Thursday night, and they put me in the balcony. Now, I don't know if in the 1920s and 30s, people were just shorter.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm 6'3", and I go up to the balcony, and I'm trying, and they put me right up on the front row of the balcony, and the bar on the front row, it's right next to the front of the seat, which pretty much means I'm sitting there with my head between my knees. Look, I got my own legs. I got my own two knees between my head, looking like I'm wearing my knees for earphones.
I know, at least you were there and didn't have to worry about kicking somebody's seat. When I was in the balcony for Survival of the Dead, I mean, there was just no room. I had to like wedge my feet under my seat. Otherwise, the guy in front of me would be like, hey, stop kicking my seat. I was like, I was just breathing.
Oh, I know. I had to do that too. Like, I don't want to kick the person's seat in front of me.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting up there trying to I look like I'm in 3rd grade waiting for story time, you know, with my legs up in the air. But it's, yeah, man, it's, I was stretched out. And here's the funny thing, you know, on the balcony up there, if you looked up to the balcony, instead of seeing me like hanging over the balcony, you saw my legs hanging over.
Yeah, right.
I was like, man, I hope one of my flip flops don't fall, because somebody's gonna get hit on the head.
They just need to attach me to a harness to the ceiling at that point. At least I can stretch my legs that way. You know, that wasn't as bad as okay, so we saw 2 movies in a row there. We saw Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant, which I really liked a lot, so much to my surprise, and Survival of the Dead, which...
Well, you know what?
Yes.
Do we want to get into this now, or do we want to?
No, we'll save that for later. You'll have to wait and find out what I thought about Survival of the Dead.
Yeah, people, we decided to make this sort of our Fantastic Fest edition of a couple of cold ones.
Sure.
We have seen a lot of movies that we're going to talk about. We're going to do individual podcast form, so we probably won't go into length about them right here.
Yeah.
But we will kind of brush up on what we saw, some of the things that we've had, have experienced during the festival. Some
of the crazy shit we saw. Weird half-naked chicks gyrating around on poles.
Man, see, you saw all that shit. You're going to be having to tell me that, because I can tell you the crazy shit I saw, which is pretty much nothing. So
just make some shit up. I'll believe it.
Oh, y'all can do that. Man, a real zombies attacked.
Well, okay.
Everybody thought they were in costume, but it was the real zombie uprising.
Real plausible stuff.
All right, you know something? Since I do this every week with Carlisle, I'm going to try to do the singing that he does every week.
Oh, is it sung?
Oh, yeah, that's what he does.
Okay.
Yeah,
he goes live at the Coleman compound.
No,
right off I-35.
Wow, you did a little dance and all that with it.
I know.
You pull out your hat and cane. See, he doesn't put on a performance like you do. He just kind of sings. But
Well, I'm putting on the Ritz over here.
yeah, he got Cyrus has his coattails on, his tuxedo. He do a little soft shoe right now.
When I'm taking Carlisle's place and I can't
All
think
right,
of anything
all right.
to say,
Fuck
I
my
just
cattle
sing.
pride around here. Sit your ass down. Sorry. All right, so what we do here. Now, you familiar with what we do?
No, I never listened to this.
Okay, I didn't think so. I can tell right when we
I'm just
opened up.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Yes, you go through the biggest movies financially of the week and
Yes.
give a little like either that's full shit and people are stupid or yay, I'm glad that movie's doing well.
Well, that's more Carlisle's part. I'm usually just looking at the internet when he's talking. I do need Cialis. Let's see. But
I could find a Russian wife.
all right, so the way we start out is we start out with the top 5 brought to you by Spill. That's what he says. Damn, that really does. How did you talk like that? That really does hurt your voice.
Top 5 brought to you by Spill.
That dude stopped smoking for like 2 years now. He still sounds like he's been like there's a smokestack in his throat.
He smoked so much at one point, I think it just permanently damaged his vocal cords. I don't know what it is. I'm sure if you ask him, he has some elaborate story involving some concert he never actually went to and like some famous person blowing him. But, you know, I'm going to chalk it up to cigarettes.
Well, you see, I was hanging out with you too. And, that's all right. Let's see.
When Janet Jackson had decided she'd had enough of her boyfriend, she wanted to make him jealous. So she pulled me backstage and said, Carlisle, come here.
And Bono was just rubbing his dick in the ashtray before he stuck it in my mouth. And, I'm still blowing smoke rings till this day.
A horrible, horrible thing to say.
Even Bono sitting somewhere like, well, it feels like something terrible was just said about me. All right, so we're going to start out.
Cargill with Bono's dick. So.
No, let's get into number 5 here.
Oh, I thought it was 10. Is it just 5?
Hell no, we just started. The top.
Okay, well, that's better.
That's why we say the top 5.
Okay, well, I wasn't really paying attention. So.
You don't even ain't listening to me. I was like, either he's terrible at math, and I don't think he's a dumb guy, so he's just not fucking listening to me.
I got
right
my
now.
own internet over here.
Yeah, he's on his phone right now and shit.
I'm applying to Austin Friend Finder.
Playing fucking Tetris. All right, number 5. Number 5 is
Number 5.
was that Ralph the dog from the Muppets?
Number 5.
I'm just doing stuff. Just read
I
it.
say to myself, what a beautiful word. What a wonderful word.
Number 5 is Tyler Perry's I Can Do Bad All By Myself.
Really?
That is still in the top 5.
Wasn't that
man.
like 2 weeks ago?
This movie has been in the top 5 for 5 weeks.
Wow. Black woman doesn't have a lot of money these days to spend on movies, apparently.
Well, they all save it up for Medea.
Yeah.
It's like this, the people don't know this about black women. They don't go to movies. Black women didn't go to movies before until Tyler Perry started making movies. That's when black women start going to see films.
Well, Tyler Perry movies are the only movies you're allowed to talk back at the screen. So, you know.
Yeah, because it's like a goddamn church service.
Well, there's nobody else who cares in there. So,
The ushers are going to start coming around with like plates asking for money when they go through. Please, for the Lord, sir. This movie made this weekend it's up to $44.5 million. And this weekend it brought in 4.8. Now, like I said, Tyler Perry makes his movies for about $40. So this is pretty good right here.
it's 100% profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
10 times over. 100 times over. So 1,000,000 times over. So Tyler Perry's doing all right, man. Let's go to number 4.
Number 4. I don't know. I can't hit those high notes anymore.
Damn, your testicles just came out through your mouth just like man, you tried to hit song. Number 4. Go ahead, swallow. I'll give you a chance. Number 4 is The Informant.
Oh, good. I'm surprised it made it in the top 5, honestly. Is it Soderbergh or Soderbergh?
By the way, I'm sorry. Tyler Perry has been in the top 5 for 3 weeks. And The Informant, this is its second week. It has made $20.1 million right now.
Wow.
The movie cost $22 million to make, so they're well on their way to making a profit with this. Brought in $7 million this weekend. So for a Steven Soderbergh movie that you didn't hear about until like I think the Thursday that this movie was coming out.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Matt Damon's fat. It's funny because Matt Damon, people knew he was fat before he had a movie.
Yeah,
Damn,
I know. They're like, I don't know if he's in a movie, but he sure is fat.
Yeah, they thought it was like the National Enquirer. Like, look who's got fat.
Well, I can't believe it's even in the top 5. I mean, you look at the posters, and it's like, okay, people are like, first off, who's Steven Soderbergh? Your average film goer, like John Q. Popcorn is like, I don't know who that guy is. And then the poster is just a picture of a fat Matt Damon, and you're like, okay.
And some people
really
even
all
know
it
that's
is.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, it doesn't even really look like him. He's put on he's puffy faced.
Yeah. Some people they look at that shit and they think that's what's that fat dude who's always winning Oscars?
Oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, I thought it was Philip Seymour Hoffman from
Well,
a
you
while
never
back.
know. Matt Damon might be like, you know what? I like this. I like pizza and beer and Cheetos and shit. Fuck that. I'm going to be the new Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a fat off.
Yeah. They should make and you know what? That's probably what they do for the next Bourne movie. It's like Matt Damon says, yes, I will make another Bourne movie if he's fat.
So now Jason Bourne dons the ultimate disguise. More Twinkies.
Instead of beating up people, he's beating up the concession machines.
Give me my goddamn Twinkie, motherfucker.
Shit falls on him. It's like a 2-minute movie.
Dun, 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 dun.
The fat hand got stuck in the machine. But okay, so The Informant doing very well. It's not a bad movie. We all agreed that it was okay.
Yeah, I think what we gave it an average of a matinee, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good movie. It's just surprising me because it really is kind of it's a lot more dry than your average filmgoer would even, like. But I keep hearing people who I know don't know a lot about film going to me going, hey, have you heard anything about this Informant? I've heard it's good. I'm like, okay. Yeah, it is. Go see it.
Yeah, and people did go see it.
Stop
Not
giving
bad.
your goddamn money to Michael Bay.
And goddamn Transformers and shit. Oh, I got a good song for number 3. Ready? Number 3, Fame. This movie looks like some bullshit, but it didn't made it in the top 5 anyway. This movie really. Now I've heard about them making this movie for a long time. They're doing a remake of Fame. I can't remember when the original Fame came out.
Sometime in the 80s.
Yeah, it came out sometime early 80s.
Irene Cara.
I think wasn't Debbie Allen in the movie too?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
I saw it. I just don't remember. I used to watch the damn TV series of it back in the day.
I don't even remember the movie. Wait a minute. The movie was the one where like, that's it, Coco.
Yeah,
Take
it
it
ends
off.
on a totally dark note with
Yeah.
Irene Cara having to take off her clothes and stuff to try and make it in show business, and
There you
she's
are,
crying.
Coco.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god! But isn't this one kind of more like they're going for the kid friendly version of
And this is
Fame?
like High School Musical 4 almost
Yeah.
from what I hear. It's like for the criticisms of this movie that I've heard is that it's not as edgy as the original Fame. I mean, they said, hey, there's a price to pay for fame, which means you probably will have to take
Blowjobs.
doing blowjobs at the end of the movie, because they didn't show it. They didn't show what would happen when Coco was taking off her clothes, but you knew what was going to happen next. You're going to get on that casting couch and become a cokehead. But they were like saying, yeah, the whole price of fame is hard, and a lot of you are about to pay it right now. And they said this movie just kind of softens it up and takes that edge off of it. The movie really didn't even do all that well. See, they were talking about making this movie for a long time, remaking, and everybody was thinking like, cause they were even sending us like notices like, oh, they got the cast for Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at the song lineup.
No, I got some of those too, and was like, really, guys, there's no point to doing this at all.
Yeah.
You're taking a name and hoping some older folks who remember fondly the original movie might be added to the legions of kids will do anything you tell them to, who go to see this. Without the dark side, this isn't an interesting story at all.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen this movie. Fair enough. They didn't screen it for critics, which is never a good sign.
Well, they did screen the movie for some people.
yes, it
That-
was.
Now remember, here we
it
go.
was in a little theater in Antarctica.
Yeah, only 2 penguins saw the movie.
Exactly. They didn't like it.
And even they were like, "Man, this ain't like the original. This just sucks.
This is some bullshit.
This is some bullshit, man. Let's go get some fish.
We always have fish.
Let's go look at some Eskimo porn. Fuck this. But this movie, they screened it. Now we got to keep in mind we're in Austin.
Yeah.
And
We're not a primary market right now. That could change next week when somebody else suddenly decides that we are. But like about 6 months ago, somebody up there decided that we are no longer an important market. So we're not getting first, like the critic stuff for a lot of these films.
yeah, that's true. So to be fair, we have to admit that when we say there's no screening for the movie, we don't know if it's us or if it's or if they're really not having it for the rest of the world.
We're not cosmopolitan
Yeah,
enough
we're
for
not
Hollywood.
hurting enough for your little fame movie. But so this film did not, for all the hype that they were giving it and all the build up, the movie didn't open up that well. The movie opened up at 10 million pretty much, and not so bad. They said the studios reported, they said we wish it had opened up bigger, but for a budget of $18 million, we ain't really worried about it.
Yeah, it's going to make its money back almost no matter what.
And let's just hope they don't make Fame 2 or some shit like that. Because you know how it is. A movie, critics will say, don't do this. And even the fans will be like, well, you know what? We're not going to turn out in this in big droves. But because it was so cheap, they'll keep making it.
Now, who's making this? Who made this film?
It was...
What company?
Let's see. It was MGM.
MGM, who's associated with Disney.
Are they associated with Disney?
Pretty sure MGM and Disney are run by the same people at this point.
Because MGM, they said we broke.
Yeah.
They like Bilbo Baggins and the Hobbit. That motherfucker might not get a movie.
No,
because wait a minute. Let's see. We're making Fame for $10 million. I mean, for $18 million, and we got $10 million in.
Shit.
And with no name actors and all that. But yet Bilbo Baggins, you want to bring in dragons and goblins and all that kind of shit. We got to shoot in Mordor and all. No, fuck no.
Is
We ain't
MGM
doing this.
doing The Hobbit?
They were no. I think they the one. I'm sorry. They were the ones who had like. They're the ones who had the rights over it at first.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know. Now that the Lord of the Rings was what? The no longer existing New Line Entertainment, right?
Yeah.
How the fuck do you make the Lord of the Rings movies and go out of business? I do not understand that at all. But okay, something fucked up, something smelly is going on in Denmark.
There's an accountant somewhere living in Mexico or Iceland or something who ran off with all that money.
Yeah.
Cooking books and shit.
Because there's no way those guys should be flush for like the next 80 years after that.
Yeah, no, it's MGM with The Hobbit and you know who else is in trouble? James Bond.
James Bond is in trouble?
Yeah, James Bond is on MGM.
James Bond's always in trouble, so.
Yeah, James. If anybody can help out, MGM's James Bond.
Yeah, the president of MGM is probably like a bald guy with a big white cat, But no, MGM and Disney, if they're connected like that, which I'm pretty sure they are actually, it sounds to me Fame is just a ploy to end up being the opening salvo of a new TV show, really. Because why not? I mean, that's what I'd do, even though it's, money motivated and that's it.
You know what? That's probably true. You got a good point there. Maybe they made Fame because they just said, fuck it. This, even if the movie doesn't do that well, hey, CW will probably pick this shit up and we got a new Fame or something.
Create brand name recognition is all that is.
Yeah, it's one big commercial.
Yeah, so. I would be surprised if there wasn't a Fame television series on the way. But, maybe that all depends on how the movie actually ends up doing.
Yeah. Which brings us to number 2.
Number 2!
Damn, man. I'm just looking around the room to make sure my windows haven't cracked yet.
Yeah, I almost went into Opera instead of Spill.com. It was a close call.
TV was vibrating for a little while, man. Number 2 is Surrogates.
Well, good.
Which brought in not a whole lot of money. The movie cost $80 million to make.
Oh.
It brought in 15 this weekend.
Okay, so that's not a good sign so far.
Nah.
15 is not a strong opening.
This is considered to be a disappointing weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
everybody's at Fantastic Fest.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
The whole world. Damn it.
I was wondering because it's like Fantastic Fest is here in Austin. I mean, it's getting bigger, but it's not by any means like the whole world is looking in on it.
No.
But I couldn't get this top 10 until late today. And I was thinking to myself, well, they must be at Fantastic Fest. I was like, hey, wait a minute. But yeah, it's considered to be a pretty disappointing weekend. And
this is obviously a reflection of that. It's a shame because
Yeah.
it's a fun little movie. It's a great, what we gave it a matinee. It's a great matinee film. You'll go in, you're not going to be disappointed because you didn't spend $9, you spent $4.50. And, man, it's a fun time. I hope more people do end up going to see it. Word of mouth gets around so that, it does a little bit better. I always root for the sci-fi films though. The ones that aren't just nothing but, Pandorum.
well, I was going to get to that, in a little bit.
Oh God, is that number 1?
Number 1. Oh. And the number 1 movie in the top 5 on Spill is...
Oh, boy.
Pandorum, man. Pandorum brought in $24.6 million.
See, it probably cost less than that.
And that movie, Pandorum Pandorum cost like $40 million. To
Okay,
make.
so it's already over halfway there.
It's halfway there, man. Pandorum. I'm kidding, man. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs opened up number one.
Oh, thank God. Okay, because that's well deserved.
I know people right now out there looking like, no, Corey, you're wrong. You're wrong. God damn it. You dumbass. No, I was fucking with Cyrus, man. No, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, still number one for the second week, brought in $25 million. So way ahead of the new openers.
Oh, geez.
Has brought in $60 million so far. The movie is a straight up $100 million
$100 to make.
flat. $100 to make. Boy, computer graphics these days getting cheaper and cheaper.
I don't have a Pixar movie for you, but how about Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Just put it in my hand.
Yeah, see, you two can go get a Mac laptop and make your own. I'm working on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs Part 2 right now.
Just while we're recording.
I'm going over budget. Mine cost $101 million to make. I put an extra meatball in there.
You can see where that money went. When
Yeah, you can
watch
see.
it.
There it comes. That extra meatball right there. I did that.
That looks nice, Corey. I like that meatball.
No, it's doing very well, and we love this movie, man.
Yeah, we did. We went a little hog wild over this film, in fact.
Yeah, because we didn't expect it to be as good as it is. I went in with an open mind, but I was looking at it and saying, I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a bias when it comes to movies that are based on children's books and very short children's books at that.
Yeah.
And then they go off and make this overblown CG film, and I've been disappointed in the past, but this is a really inspired film. I love it.
Been hurt before.
I have.
I'm not gonna be hurt again.
Girl, I've been hurt before. So you saying I'll be the black guy that just talks some words in the background. Girl, I've been hurt before by your CG animals.
Your CG animals.
But your meatball really got to me.
Yes, they did, girl.
And your ass and titties too. I mean, no, so Pandorum, on the other hand.
Yeah. Failed miserably.
Well, yeah, man. You could say that. This movie's going to have a long way to catch up. It did have a budget of $40 million, but it only brought in $4.4 million this weekend. So
But
yeah.
even so, genre films like that, like the low budget ones, they have a strong life on DVD. And any genre film that makes it so far as to make it into a wide release theatrically is going to do just fine on DVD because people are like, oh yeah, I remember that coming out in the theater. Maybe we'll check that out.
Yeah, and I tell you, man, this movie, it's not bad. A lot of people got pissed at the review that we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. It was like, really? People
Yeah.
got pissed without even seeing the damn thing.
Yeah, and I even said I'd like it. I don't want to go watch it at the theater because I have seen this before, and people who hadn't even seen it, they're like, "Well, you stop comparing it to Aliens. You compare everything to Aliens." It's like, shut the fuck up, man. Have you seen the movie? No. Well, shut the fuck up. Man.
Well, there's a point where you go, look, while it's fair to say that some people over compare stuff like that and it gets a little old, sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. When it's wearing it on its sleeve, like, hey, we saw Aliens a bunch of times. Like, look, what am I supposed to do? Not point it out? Hey, look, the Emperor's got no clothes. What? How dare you say that?
Yeah, I mean, shit, it's Aliens and Predator. I mean, goddamn, what do you want me to tell you? Sometimes you just call it Alien and Alien. That's what this was. I mean, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Had some great designs to it, man. I mean, and people have something, I will give people credit. I mean, you do sort of have a throwback to the design in the original Alien. I mean, because in the 80s, after we got that really gritty look on a spaceship, that's everybody started kind of following that style.
Oh yeah, that was the and to be fair, if there really were industrial mining ships out there, it's probably in a pragmatic sense pretty much what they'd look like.
Yeah,
there wouldn't be a lot of frills.
Yeah. So I mean, you're right. I mean, it's hard to criticize this movie for that. I mean, because everything's a throwback to that. What's that movie where that guy was growing plants and vegetation in space?
Silent Running.
Silent Running.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the only movie that predates Alien with having that real gritty look on a spaceship.
I mean, it had that dark sort of like unkempt type of look to it. I mean, certainly in 2001 had tight corridors and stuff like that.
But it was real shiny and everything.
Everything was well lit.
Yeah, everything was smooth. I think I saw a Mexican maid going through there cleaning up the ship and everything.
Yeah, they're all in their spaceships, and there's Conchita going, no.
No, Mr. Hal, no. Conchita, have you cleaned the bathroom yet? No, Hal, no. That's what made some Mexicans mad.
I know.
We ain't all maids and shit.
Sooner or later, we're going to offend everyone, so I might as well just
I know.
get it out of the way.
No, you are not all maids. Some of you are maids in space.
Yes. I've met a few Spanish-speaking maids from other countries, so it's
I thought you were from outer space.
no, not from outer space. Well, they might have been for all I know. I couldn't understand what they were saying. So no speaky Espanol. I don't know.
That's Spanish.
What are you doing? Hey, get that off my face! I don't want to bury your children in my tummy.
Man, let's go on to some big news in movies right now.
What?
Though.
Nothing's happening. Everybody's a Fantastic Fest.
You know what? Somebody probably wished they could have gone to Fantastic Fest, but if they had gone, they would have been arrested.
Okay, what is this?
Man, they finally got your boy, man.
Who's my boy?
You know who your boy is, I mean,
Leon?
No. We go way back before Leon, man. I think you need to stop snitching, man. I think you got him in trouble.
Yeah, well.
Stop snitching, Cyrus, because you know what your snitching did?
What did I do?
After all this time, people not being able to get Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski? What, Roman Polanski got arrested?
Yeah, well, you've heard this. We talked about this before it started. Yeah.
I'm trying to play along, goddammit. You ruined it.
No, we were talking.
I'm an actor.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were acting with me.
Yeah.
But who is this Roman Polanski?
Oh, come on, Az is totally right. We're so fake.
We're just a bunch of characters. No, man, they finally got your boy, man, Roman Polanski. They, for those who don't know, Roman Polanski, classic films, Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown,
Repulsion.
and he recently, while he was not admitted into the United States for being for threat of being arrested, because of a crime that he did
Wasn't
a
that
long
they
time
barred
ago.
him? They were like, "Yeah, come on in."
Yeah,
bro.
they were like-
they're waiting to arrest his ass from something that happened in the 70s. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the U.S. government put like a $5 bill on a string and tried to like fish that shit, like reel it in, have him chase it so he could like cross the border over here in America and arrest his ass.
it'd be more like an issue of 17 magazine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Roman Polanski, he while he was even barred from coming over to the United States, he still won an Academy Award for The Pianist, which I think won Best Picture. There's one with Adrian Brody. It was a Holocaust film.
No, it was called The Penis.
And everybody's like, hey, see, here we go again. Now, the reason why I'm making so many 17 jokes and penis jokes about him is because now get this, back, I think like 30 years ago, at Jack Nicholson's house.
Yeah, and
it was him and somebody
Angelica
else.
Houston.
And it was an Angelica
Yeah,
Houston living
it
at
was
the
their
same
house.
time.
Yeah.
Now, I think he was there with somebody else, and they were doing a model shoot with a 13-year-old girl. They drugged this girl and raped her and sodomized her, which means, they pretty much had anal sex on her while she was kind of inebriated.
Yeah.
And I think they had oral sex with her too.
Which I understand, people. Some of you are going, so that sounds like a great weekend. What's the problem?
Exactly.
But you'll understand when you get older and you can't go have sex with 13-year-olds anymore that's a really big deal.
Yeah,
Bad
yeah.
enough you drug and sodomize someone, but there adds this whole new level of threat to it that the federal government gets interested in when you yourself are over 18.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, when you turn 18, people don't think that
You cannot have sex with a 17-year-old.
No, when you were 17, when you were 17 and looking at that 13-year-old going like, yeah, I'm going to tap that. You better
better
before
hurry
your
up.
birthday.
Yeah.
Because Roman Polanski will tell you that you better run. And if you run, you ain't coming back. And even then, years later, they probably going to get your ass. This man is like 70-something years old.
I can't believe that this is, okay, I'm not defending his actions. I would never defend his actions. I mean, that's just, that's inarguably a terrible, terrible thing to do to anyone. However, with the shit that went on in this guy's past and stuff just immediately prior to that, like for instance, his wife being murdered by the Manson family and his unborn child ripped out of her womb.
Yeah, Sharon Tate was
Jesus
his wife,
Christ.
and they killed her and her unborn child. Yeah,
That would fuck up anybody. And then, as you said, I didn't even know his mother died in Auschwitz.
Auschwitz, man.
I
yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, he's a Holocaust survivor. His mother died in Auschwitz, and he got by on donations most of his life.
Right.
And then he got into film, and I think he won a Best Foreign Picture film.
Yeah,
And,
I thought he won something for Repulsion, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I say I don't even know. I mean, you'd have to tell me. I was just reading up on the guy, and he won like Best Foreign Film when he was very young, and then got offered Rosemary's Baby.
Right.
I think like in 64 or something, 66, something like that. And then he went on to direct
Which he immediately
Chinatown.
drugged and raped.
Rosemary's
Baby.
Rosemary's Baby. No. And then I think he didn't commit this crime until 1977, though.
Yeah, it was a little bit later.
Yeah, it was a little bit later. And so now you're thinking like the guy's been through a lot and maybe he was out of his mind. It's like, nah, man, that was a premeditated crime. I mean,
Yeah,
he
no,
was-
that wasn't a crime of passion. That was like,
Yeah, he's up with this girl. He like planned it out so much that he drugged her, and then he's because the whole time he's filming her, he's thinking, I'm gonna fuck that one way or another. Give me those pills.
I mean, the other argument is that it's been a really long time. I mean, isn't there a statute of limitations on these things? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Apparently not.
If you were to ask any feminist out there, they would be pissed and they would say, not for this. They're out for blood. They're like, fuck that. There's no statute of limitations. Even though the girl that he raped, and it is rape, the girl that he raped, she's even said it's long enough, let it go.
Yeah. No, I mean, some level it's like, wow, it's been that long. The other, she's probably just tired of people asking her about it, because why would you bring up an incredibly painful period of your life? Even so, it's like, the guy, from everything I've heard, he is a very much changed man now. He's not the same guy he was then.
He was even in, if you want to know what he looks like, kids, if you don't know who we're talking about, well, of course you can look him up on the internet, but you probably would be surprised to know that he was the French police captain in Rush Hour 3.
Oh, that's right. He was. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember looking at that and I was saying, I think I know this actor, but I can't remember his name. And it ended up being Roman Polanski.
That is an interesting point. The other interesting thing, kids, that you should remember is don't watch Rush Hour 3.
Yeah, don't rape 13-year-old girls and then don't watch Rush Hour 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure which is worse, but I'm not the judge. I'm not a priest. I'm not the one to judge the moral implications of such things. But no, I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. I mean, one can't help but go after a while, like, look, like I said, it's been so long. The victim forgives him, yada, yada. But even so, that is some harsh, fucked up shit to do. And, I think it's going to be one of the craziest trials to watch ever. Personally, I mean, just the witnesses alone of stuff he was doing then are mainly famous people. Mm-hmm. So, court TV has already got to be just salivating their asses off, going, "Okay, guys, strap in and get ready."
yeah, man. Let me tell you something. I'll just tell you how I feel about this and the way I think it's going to work out. It might be a media circus for a little while, only for a little while, and then he's going to get off.
Yeah.
That's not saying that I don't want him to. Do you want to know how I feel about it? It's been so long. Even this girl is coming out and saying that she doesn't think that this should continue. The guy's 76 years old now. He hasn't been in the country for years. And while I think it's wrong for him to have fled and he's out there living his life and because it had it been anybody else, they would have had to be online, registered as a sex offender. They would have got all kind of grief about it. But because this motherfucker is a world famous director and he's an artist, we're ready to turn our back on this shit. And I'm sorry. I know we make a lot of jokes, a lot of sex jokes and whatnot, but there's nothing funny about this shit, man. You raped a 13-year-old girl and he didn't really pay for it.
If there's a celebrity you want to make an example of, though, it's probably not like the 70-something-year-old film director. It was O.J. Simpson, and we missed our chance for that. So, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of celebrities who get off scot-free all the time because ultimately, regardless of what the law says, it's always the jury's decision about what happens, and people go into that with celebrities with an automatic sort of like leaning towards the celebrity. I mean, you can't help it. We're raised, there are our aristocracy.
We have a bias. And I mean, if you look at not just OJ, because OJ is another guy I thought was guilty. And I thought with OJ, I tell you, it was his celebrity, but I think they would have had more of a closed case if they hadn't fucked that up with Ron. I forgot.
I forgot his name.
I want to say Ron Howard. Fuck that case. Opie came in and fucked that case. But they had that Ron Livingston. Is that the cop who came in and was obviously racist, tampered with evidence.
Right.
So I was kind of like, wow, they fucked that case up right there. He's combined with his celebrity, he's gone. But we also had Robert Blake.
Yeah, who totally got sent to jail. But that's because the prosecution must have screwed up, said, don't let anyone in the jury older than 30. Want anyone to remember anything he was in.
But he got off.
Did he finally get off?
He finally got off.
I thought he got...
No, he finally got off against... And I think one of the things that helped out is that okay, he's Robert Blake. No matter what, he's still Robert Blake. Everybody's gonna remember him. Everybody who's old enough will remember him as Beretta.
Yeah, but that's anybody who's like older than 40. You know?
People who are even older will remember him as I forgot what his name, a character on the Little Rascals.
Oh God, that's right. He was in that. You know, the only thing I really remember him from is from Lost Highway.
Lost Highway. Yeah, he was that creepy guy that would come in.
Well, he had that great. I mean, that's a mediocre David Lynch film, but he had that great moment where he's like, "I'm at your house right now. Go ahead and call me," and hands him the phone. And the guy calls, and sure enough, he's also at his house.
Oh, that was, yeah.
It's like that was fucked up.
Yeah, shit. That movie probably made him want to go off and kill somebody.
He looks like Robert Smith is going to look like when he's 60. Or maybe Robert Smith is 60 now.
Now, yeah, that's why he wears all that makeup, so you can't tell what he looks like. And then there's also Phil Spector.
Yeah.
Who got off? And Phil Spector is that famous music producer. Worked with
the hair,
with that crazy. Phil Spector. You should look up this guy online. He worked with Tina Turner, and some other people. He guilty just by the way his hair looks. Yeah, this motherfucker looks like somebody who killed somebody. But you know what? He got off.
You're like, you're crazy. It's clearly something's wrong. But yeah,
Robert
Have any celebrities ever actually gone to jail for anything other than Martha Stewart?
I know they sent Martha Stewart to jail for what? Like fucking up with her taxes, but murderers are getting off.
Yeah.
Maybe with rape it's a different thing because it got Gary Glitter.
Okay. Yeah, no one cares about Gary Glitter.
That's why Gary Glitter went sent to jail.
Only sports fans care, and they don't even know that they care.
And they don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
If you don't, I tell you, and it's a shame too, because if nerds and sports fans have one thing in common, and that's dun 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 dun. And the sports fans, they do that at the hey, yeah. And sports fans, they do that. They sing that song at sports functions.
Yeah, that's like one of
games.
The most long-lasting, famous, like let's get the crowd riled songs ever.
Yeah,
you know.
But the nerds have taken it and they've taken it and made a Doctor Who song out of it. Doctor Who.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Hey,
I didn't know how you were tying it.
Doctor Who. Okay. Yes, all those nerds out there. See, Gary Glitter could have brought the nerd and the jocks together.
He could have been the great joiner, the great man of peace.
Yeah,
the Gandhi for our time.
The Gandhi for our time, bringing nerds and jocks together. But he had to fuck up and fuck with little boys, and now he's in jail.
You know, as a Doctor Who fan, I'd like to point out that I don't particularly like or approve of that song.
And it's even weirder with Gary Glitter because he had that song, "Do you wanna touch? Yeah, do you wanna touch? Yeah, do you wanna touch?"
That song.
Me? You know, do you wanna touch me there? Yeah.
No,
yeah.
You're freaking me out. Stop it. No.
Joan Jett did a remake of it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, what the fuck, man? I thought you were a music guy.
Yeah, but you're singing it. I can't tell from that.
Do you want to? Yeah, it's like a retarded person trying to sing this.
You know that song.
It's like that guy trying to sing in church.
I thought you were doing Culture Club. Like, do you really want to touch me?
I got my top jaw hanging all out there. Oh, touch me there.
It's how Corey hears himself in his head. Do you really want to hurt me? How Corey actually sounds. Do you really want
He's not even singing words anymore.
That's like back when I used to take acid and I'd be like, oh my God, I've had the most profound thoughts. I'm going to write a book and it's going to save the world, and I write out all this shit. And then the next day you're like, what is all this about bananas? I don't even know what that means.
It's just banana after banana,
yeah.
banana.
Like, I could have sworn I had someone clearly stolen my notes and replaced it with this meaningless scrawl.
It's like when my friend Kevin was trying to say something to me. He was high and he was drunk, and he turned to me and had a look on his face. And in his mind, I know he was probably saying, "Corey, man, you are a dear friend. I love you so much. Thanks for being there for me." But the way it came out was, and then he walked off and threw up.
Too bad you weren't high too. You could have understood him.
I know. Yeah, I would have interpreted it.
Sit there for an hour going.
Yeah, him and I would have been looking at each other. But so, man, but back to this fool here, Roman Polanski. Yeah, I but here's what I'm thinking. I do think he should serve some time for this. But if they would have let him off, I would be like, it's been so long, man. I'm not even worried about it. What can I say? It's either way for me. It's like I'm a little less happy if he doesn't have to serve some sort of punishment for this. Something. Have his ass out there with Chris Brown picking up trash, you know,
on the side of the highway in an orange jumpsuit.
Because I tell you, man, picking up trash out on the highway. that's worse than death for some celebrities.
Yeah, that'd be worse than death for me. I'd be like,
Damn.
you know what? Screw it. Put me in the chair. Can't. Too expensive.
I remember when I got my first ticket when I was 16. My first speeding ticket, and I had to do community service for it.
Hardly the last.
Yeah, and way from the last. I was more than happy to pay for them after my first experience. They made me work at Goodwill.
What?
Yeah, they made me do community service at Goodwill. I had to go to Goodwill and like just I don't know sweep and like straighten out the stands and
Oh, crazy.
and the Goodwill that I was working in was on the bus route from the high school. So if I didn't time it right, going into the Goodwill, all the kids on the bus would have seen me like running. Now my friend Chris Earl, he told me, he said, man, I saw you the other day. You were standing in the alley, leaned up against the wall, and then you looked from side to side, and you made a dash into the Goodwill.
To make sure no one could see you and fail. Man, no, I didn't know that about
Failed
that.
miserably.
I didn't know that they put like a hardened cons into the Goodwill. Man, that's funny. I have a friend of mine who really likes this chick who works at the one near Half Price Books here in town. I'm gonna tell him, hey man, I got an icebreaker for you. Just go up to her and say, so what'd you do?
Oh yeah. Wait a minute, she works at the Half Price Books?
No, at the Goodwill.
Oh, at the Goodwill.
Yeah. You're like, hey,
Man, I was about to say-
why are you working here? Type of thing. That must be it. She must have.
Yeah, she's just some fucking hippie, and if she's a hippie, she's easy to open up with, you know?
That's true. Easy to open up, period. But
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
Not sure if you want to, but that's,
Yeah, man. I don't know if you ever had to shop at Goodwill when you were a kid. You know, kids
Sure.
make, I did. You know, kids make fun of you when they know you shopping at Goodwill.
Well, I was a bargain shopper even when I was a kid because, my parents weren't broke, but they were judicious with giving me money.
man.
And, and I was too lazy to mow the lawn and shit if I didn't have to. So I'd just try and make that dollar stretch. And sure enough, it'd be like thrift stores, pawn shops, Goodwill, whatever. They sell books.
That's true. Shit, when I was coming up, if you weren't fresh, that blatant though, and I really don't want to make a race thing out of it, but it is true. Like if you don't, if you don't have your gear all fresh and shit, everybody like looks at you like, what the fuck, man?
Oh, I didn't buy clothes there. What were you, some kind of loser?
Yeah, I was.
I wasn't going to do that. I shopped at Target.
I ended up buying my own brother's clothes, which should have been handed down to me, and I tried to avoid. I had to buy that shit anyway. I could have had this for free, but
Target is like Walmart, but for the more distinguished redneck.
Target got some good shit. But man, so Roman Polanski, if you go by looking at somebody like Gary Glitter, I guess now if he was caught right off the bat doing this, yeah, you damn right he would have served some time.
Yeah.
I think rape and child molestation, especially these days, even if you're a celebrity, you're not getting off on that. I mean, that's it. But 30 years.
Well, the one thing that sticks in my craw about this actually is that he wasn't trying to re-enter America or anything. Then I would have been like, yeah, prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. He's already been punished and it has hurt his career not being able to work here. It's hurt his personal life and his career. No, they busted him in like Sweden or something like that. And it's like, well, that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, where was he? Because he was going to a film festival.
Yeah.
And they got him at the airport.
Yeah.
He was getting the Zurich Film Festival. He was going to get an honorary award there.
He sure got one.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Honoring your work and child rape.
Is the United States Police via the Switzerland law department, whatever the fuck. I don't know. Because it was a Swiss government that came there to intercept him. And now they're trying to figure out if they're going to extradite him to America. And if he comes to America, he's going to be held on trial. They're like, we waited too goddamn long for this. Shit, I mean, it's has been like, they were just short of sending like Dog the Bounty Hunter after his ass. So it's, I'd love to see how this will work out. And like I said, either way it goes, I don't have any feelings about it anymore. It's so long.
It's going to be a media circus, but I bet you on some level, Polanski's people and the people who own the rights to his films are happy as shit because there's a lot of his films that probably get, aren't widely seen anymore that all of a sudden are going to see a pretty sizable upswing in viewership.
Yeah. No, you wonder. I mean, it might just
It's all a publicity stunt.
Yeah, Polanski planned it out himself.
My God, that man is an evil
He's a
genius. He's the one keeping James Bond down.
This fool though, man, he's Look, he's all he got to do is bring up, I'm a Holocaust survivor. I mean, while this dude was known as a child rapist, he still won an Academy Award for what? A Holocaust movie.
Yeah.
You want a Holocaust movie? I mean, you want an Academy Award. Make a Holocaust movie.
Yeah.
Even if you rape a child, you will get an Academy Award.
That's true. They'll probably give him an Academy Award just at the trial for telling the story, you know?
Yeah, just for
They'll bring out the Viennese string choir and they'll like start playing like the
My
violins
mother
and stuff while he's telling the
starved to
story. Everybody'd be crying.
one potato still in her hand. You know, what can I say, man? I've never been. I have to say though, The Pianist, when I saw it, I love the movie, man. And it's really hard because I want to separate the work from the artist.
Wait, what does a movie have to do with a penis? Oh, pianist.
Shut the
Sorry.
fuck. You know what the hell I'm talking about, childish
But when you look at
motherfucker,
it
you.
that way, as he's saying it, it's really quite amusing.
It's the film version of that joke, 12-inch pianist.
Yes. Hey, babe.
12-inch pianist, the motion picture. Now, let's go ahead and get into some, because you got to get to some movies. Let's go ahead and get into real quick some things that we saw at Fantastic Fest.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. What do you want to talk about? You've seen less stuff than I have because, well, you've got more of a full-time job than I do here. So,
It's been pretty full-time for you too, I think, especially with stuff like this going on.
yeah, but you do the animating and that takes a lot longer. So let's start with the stuff you've seen that you want to talk about. Let's go with you. And then I can reflect on such said films.
Okay.
And tell you whether or not you're full of shit.
Well, we saw a lot of the same things. Okay, so you heard us talk about what the festival is about. So our weekends consisted of a lot of fantasy and zombies.
Sure. Which is never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. I've saw 2 zombie movies here.
Oh, you saw 2. Okay.
Well, I saw Zombieland.
Yeah. We've already discussed and reviewed on the site Zombieland, correct?
Well, we haven't posted it yet.
Oh, okay.
But the review will be up next week.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'm just bringing this up because I saw Zombieland, the new zombie movie with Woody Harrelson. Mm-hmm. And what's that kid's name?
Jesse Eisenberg.
Eisenberg,
I was
yeah.
going to say Jocelyn Elders. I don't know how that popped in my head.
They're the same kid. Right now. Who's Jocelyn Elders?
She's like the Surgeon General, and she got fired for advocating masturbation.
Oh, she's Jesse Eisenberg would never masturbate.
Oh, are you kidding me? There's a guy whose right hand rarely leaves the vicinity of his groin.
Not anymore, man. He's in Zombieland now.
That's true.
He's getting the thrown at his ass.
I bet you he still didn't get a shot at Emma Stone, but still.
You never know.
I don't know, man. She's up and comer too, and odds are she's like, yeah, Jesse, I'm glad you're doing well. Now I'm going to go hang out with someone with a tan and muscles.
You know how Jesse Eisenberg. I was at Comic-Con. You know how like rock stars and celebrities get panties and bras thrown at them?
Sure.
There were panties left on the ground. A girl just threw her ass at him. So a whole bottomless chick just threw herself at a Jesse Eisenberg, ass hit him right in the face.
Put herself in a catapult.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I had seen, but saw that and then saw George Romero's Survival of the Dead.
That's right. I forgot you were at that. Yes.
And George Romero, who is a tall son of a bitch.
He is.
Man.
Although it was hard to tell from where I was sitting. I was in those balcony seats, and he just
were you
looked like a
upstairs?
tiny, tiny man from where I was.
He's like an ant wearing some glasses. But he is tall, and it was really cool to like hear him talk. Like this is my first time ever seeing George Romero come out in person.
Oh, that's right. You weren't there for Diary of the Dead. Okay.
No, I was not. And so to hear him come out, and this guy must be in his 70s also, but he's still very lively, still very excited and passionate about filmmaking. Yeah. Still very passionate about vampires. And has a very good sense of humor. I mean, I'm just like, shit is blending today.
I know, I understand.
Zompires.
Zompires.
But still very passionate about zombies.
Yeah.
And has more of a sense of humor than he ever has about the whole thing.
Although, to be fair, on some level, when he suddenly started doing zombie films again, and this was after something like 8 films of his went to direct-to-video and didn't do that well, it kind of felt more like, not so much like, like, oh, I just couldn't stand it anymore. I had to go back to zombies are my first love, as that's the only thing that makes any money.
Yeah. No, George Romero, zombies equals cash, no matter what. But I have to say, man, George Romero is one of my heroes.
Yeah, I know.
Love the guy.
I mean, you are the zombie guy that I know.
Yeah, no, me and co-host, we love zombies, man. But I have to say, and it breaks my heart to say this, I was a little disappointed by Survival of the Dead after having seen Zombieland.
Yeah.
It's George Romero has again lightened up. I mean, he's getting funnier and funnier with his zombie films. They seem like comedies almost. But he's now, I think he's kind of running out of ideas to where he's kind of like making up different rules and making them up on the spot.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, you're absolutely right. And actually, the Zombieland effect, which is what I've been calling it lately because there were a couple different zombie films playing the festival. The Zombieland effect is that even the other zombie films that were really good, there's one called Doghouse and one called The Revenant. Excellent. Both of them excellent little horror comedies. Just next to Zombieland, which is one of the best movies I've seen this year, and certainly one of the best horror comedies ever. It's just, how do you even, how do you appreciate that? And Survival of the Dead, which was to me the weakest of the George Romero zombie films, was barely even worth a thought. I mean, you say it's funnier. I say it felt like a series of set pieces where they just tried to figure out new ways to kill zombies that made no sense.
But new ways to kill them, he even said himself, he's like, there's a couple of Looney Tunes moments in here. I'm like, why'd you say that?
Yeah.
I'm not looking at a George Romero zombie movie to see, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck shoot each other. I'm not looking for Itchy and Scratchy here.
I mean, it's okay if he wants to do a horror comedy like that or something with those elements, but don't do it in the world you've already created that doesn't work that way.
And we've seen horror comedies be very clever. Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland. So you got a high standard to aim for there. You just can't I'm going to blow this zombie's head off and his scalp is going to land on his jaw. It's
one of the things where it does stuff like that where you're like, look how we cleverly killed this zombie. And that was funny the way they did that, even though why would you even do that at all? That doesn't even seem like you would go to all that trouble. But, there's things where they shove a fire extinguisher hose in a zombie's mouth and it pops out his brain and his eyeballs.
Yeah.
Pretty sure wouldn't actually happen.
No.
But I'm not a physics major. We can try it out later.
I'm not a physics major or a zombie killer. So.
No, I would be if I had the opportunity, but
no, that would not work.
The dead have not actually come back to life, despite what some people may think. It's the real problem here with this movie is people's motivations. You watch horror films and you go, man, these people are so stupid, or wow, nobody would ever actually do that. This took that to all new levels of stupidity, and that's saying something for somebody who's been watching low budget horror movies at Fantastic Fest all week.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. People just do the dumbest thing in this movie. It's like
inexplicable,
and the audience is laughing. They're like, because somebody is gradually walking towards a zombie, knowing that they're going to get bit, and everybody's like, "Don't do that. Okay, you dumb bitch. Of course. What did you think was going to happen?"
It's okay for people to do dumb things in horror movies because they're dumb, but these aren't characters who are supposed to be dumb doing things that no one without brain damage would ever do. I mean, you're just like, they don't even bother for an explanation for most of them. They just do it because they need it to get to the plot to where Romero wants it to go. It's lazy screenwriting of the highest order, and there's no excuse for it at this point. I mean, he really should be able to hire better people to work with them.
Man, I have to agree with you totally on that, and I was a little disappointed. I mean, I was disappointed by a lot of Dead movies that he has coming out. So, but it was cool to see George Romero there. It's almost now you go to these screenings because you want to see what the director has to say, probably more than the actual film.
Sometimes. And with this, the man is a living legend. No question about it.
Now, let's talk about two other movies that are kind of the same, which we've had sort of the same experience with. If absence the idolism or having a hero figure there, we went to two teen films.
Yes.
Kind of teen fantasy films. And those two one was called Under the Mountain, which was from the director of Black Sheep.
Yeah,
movie
that's
about
right.
The killer sheep. Not the Chris Farley movie.
No. No, it was not from the director of.
I forgot the guy's name, something Jackson, Kenneth Jackson or something like that.
Cares,
yeah,
right?
no. Yeah. And the other was The Vampire's Assistant.
Yeah, Cirque du Freak.
Which
is based on a
20 book series
is
or something?
20?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. A big book series about, it's got John C. Reilly in the vampire role and some goofy moon-faced kid you've never seen before in the lead hero kid role.
Yeah, now I love Fantastic Fest. I'm having a great time. The great thing about Fantastic Fest is that you get a group of people together who, even when the talent and the directors and actors come, everybody is just cooling out, man. Everybody's very down to earth, and they're just hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
Nobody's mobbing the actors or directors, and the directors don't feel threatened. And it's a very cool environment. And
There's not a lot of glad handing. There's not a lot of snobbery.
No.
And the schmoozing that it is more like if you overhear a conversation about a movie that you have something input in, you can talk to anybody and they'll go, oh, were you talking about that thing? Oh yeah, that was awesome. Or no, dude, you're crazy. That sucked. I mean, it's more like a bunch of people hanging out together who are all like mind.
And it's very hands on. Tim League and his wife Carrie, who run the Draft House,
Who are the heroes of Austin, as far as I'm concerned. They should build statues of them on Town Lake.
They've pretty much they've made the world kind of had to rethink the way movie theaters are run.
Yeah.
And they're one of the creators of the festival as well as Ain't It Cool News and Harry Knows. So, they're all very hands on with this, and they help foster this kind of environment. And that's great. I can't commend them enough for that, especially this will be my first time seeing how much fun it is. One of the things that has disappointed me though is reading the rundown, the schedule, and the description of the movies, because every movie is a fucking Academy Award winner.
Well, they're not gonna. Okay, when you've got he's talking about how like they have the list of things on their website, which by the way is a really well run website. These people, the B-Side,
Yes.
is the name of the company. They also did South by Southwest's website this year for the first time, and the way they have it organized is just wow. I wish everybody would use these guys. But Spill brought to you by B-Side and Fantastic Fest. They of course have the schedule. You can read a description of each of the films, but the descriptions are written like reviews. And yeah, of course they're all glowing. I mean, they want to sell these films, and when you watch these films, they rarely are accurate with the review descriptions. Even if the film's you really like it, that doesn't really match what they're saying about it.
I wish that they could find some kind of way to show their appreciation for these films being here, in addition to maybe being a little more neutral. Because I'll tell you why. And look, I'm speaking only for myself, and I don't want to put down people who actually enjoyed the film. Under the Mountain, and if I'm correct, and if I'm wrong, I totally apologize, but it was pitched as every once in a while a movie comes that captures that tween market with a great fantasy film in the vein of something like The Goonies, and an adventure flick that kids could feel like that they can relate to because those characters are them. And I'm looking at that hooked me, man. I said I have to go see this once in a lifetime, life-changing movie, Under the Mountain.
Magical voyage into fantasy and imagination.
Yes. Man, I get there at that movie, and at the moment it opens up, I'm annoyed. It deals with these two kids, they're twins. Think of Escape to Witch Mountain for this generation.
Yeah, it's Escape to Witch Mountain versus Cthulhu, which sounds cool.
It's
right?
an H.P. Lovecraft movie mixed with Escape to Witch Mountain.
On the outside, that sounds cool, but then you got to think about we actually mean the movie Escape to Witch Mountain, not just the idea of two like superpowered kids. I mean, like the crappy, terribly written, terribly acted film Escape to Witch Mountain mixed with Cthulhu.
And this is Escape to Witch Mountain is still a lot more magical and entertaining in this film. I mean, it starts out with these two redheads, they're twins. They have some sort of psychic connection. Their mother dies. A kid, the boy, you could tell he's like not as strong as a girl because he immediately starts acting like a bitch.
Yeah.
No,
I'm going to be sullen.
Yeah. And so they get Sam Neill shows up just looking like a creepy child molester, saying you two have powers that will help save the world from these Cthulhu tentacle looking H.P. Lovecraft creatures.
Yeah,
and
they never name any of the actual mythology stuff, but I mean, come on, they're
and
protecting
that's
giant elders from outer space who are living under the earth. I mean, this is Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And
that's it. They just have to stop the world from being destroyed by monsters.
Using fire powers that depend on their faith in each other as brother and sister. And it's this type of shit that makes this just shit. I mean, I don't mind a soft heart to a movie, but this is just dumb. I mean, there's a point early on I was like, you know what, this is pretty creative. And there's a point about halfway through I was like, okay, really needs to go somewhere interesting or I'm going to be really bored. And then there's a point at the end I was like,
oh yeah, I was sitting there pissed, man. I was like, this is not a movie to be mad about, but because I was mad at myself. I was like, I'm watching Okay, I got told that this was like this great movie because the Goonies is not that great, if you ask me. It's a fun movie to remember.
The Goonies? What are you talking
Because this was like compared to the Goonies.
Oh,
I was like,
was it in the
this is the Goonies wasn't great, but it'd be nice to see a fun movie in that vein, probably done better.
I'm trying to think, the only thing that I would even think compares this to the Goonies at all is there's a sequence where they're going down a big wet tunnel.
Yeah, wet tunnel. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But
It's like, other than that,
I swear to God, this movie's compared to the Goonies, and that's why I was mad. Because I'm sitting up there waiting. I'm like, oh man, I'm looking for some fun-loving teenagers to do some wacky stuff.
Yeah, where's Chunk?
Yeah, exactly. All that kind of, and I'm watching these two forlorn teenagers sit around and say things like, "You are the chosen ones."
Angsty emo fire crotches fighting evil.
Leave me alone. You know, and all that. I'm sitting up here thinking, I'm looking at some shit that I could have watched easily on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. I could have been watching the live action Ben 10 or anything.
It's so funny though that New Zealand itself has become kind of the go-to place for fantasy films because that country is so beautiful and so it's like eldritch looking. Just looking at it, you're like, wow, it looks ancient and magical, and it does. That, you know, they just have long scenes of the environment, and you're like, wow, I totally feel this. I mean, New Zealand is to like fantasy films was like Tom Cruise was to action films in the 90s. You know, I mean, all you need to have is New Zealand there, and people will go see it.
Well, it's beautiful cinematography in that movie, but really it was just like, fuck, man, this is nothing. This really is. It's like watching some Doctor Who shit on PBS or something.
We're talking shit about Doctor Who now.
I like Doctor Who. I ain't fucking with Doctor Who.
That's right.
And then there was, and so I was disappointed in that. I mean, and we're not going to go into it too much because I'm sure we'll probably do a review of it on our own later on.
Okay.
But then we saw
because I know Ghost wants to bitch about it.
Oh no, he was pissed off, man.
Yeah, he was.
And then we watched Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant, which not like great, but was a lot of fun.
It was one of the more pleasant surprises of the festival so far. The design of the thing was so new. It was like, wow, the way you set up your shots, the way you're using color in it, a lot of the way the humor is written, it was very unexpected and fresh. And wow, I was entertained as hell by this movie. Honestly, the worst part about this is that the core emotional story that they keep trying to shoehorn in between the main character, who is admittedly not that great of an actor, and his best friend, played by, I can't remember. He's a guy you're like, oh, it's that guy who was in that
Yeah, those
movie.
two kids, you've seen, one kid is a character actor you've seen before, but the movie has a lot of actors who are really good for if some even very small parts. You have John C. Reilly as one of the main leads in this movie.
Who's the standout?
Yeah, he is a standout. I won't say anything, but he's funny in everything he does. And then you have people who wander in and out like Willem Dafoe, Selma Hayek, who you hadn't seen in a while. Yeah. You've seen some actors you haven't seen in years, like Orlando Jones, who people still remember as the black guy from the 7-Up commercials.
And Patrick Fugit from Almost Famous.
Oh, that dude!
He was the serpent guy.
Yeah, he was. That's who he was. Yeah, he was the serpent kid.
Yeah,
the teen. Yeah, the fucking what do you call it? Grunge snake guy.
Yeah, he was a grunge rocker snake skin dude.
Yeah, it's
But Salma Hayek, man, I gotta tell you. She just, even when she has a beard, she is like one of the most fuckable women in the world.
I'd fuck her beard.
I would.
Shit. When she grew that beard, I was like, oh, well, that's one way to make her look. Nope, she's still hot.
Oh, my God. Well, it doesn't hurt the fact she had them boobies going out all over the place.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at her beard anyway.
Yeah.
At least not that beard, at least. But she was, but Selma Hayek, that was a lot of, and just, the movie deals with just a lot of freakish imagery, and it's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
Of the moments, I was about to give up on the movie, because speaking of angsty stuff, like the movie starts out with these two best friends. One's a goody guy, and the other's like, just a troublemaker.
Yeah.
And, he's already heading down the wrong path. And so when the good guy's told, like, you can't be friends with that troubled kid anymore, this tough kid who's supposed to be like almost just borderline bullyish, he all of a sudden is like, oh, you're not my best friend anymore. We're not best friends anymore. And it's like,
because we know all bullies are desperately insecure.
Exactly. So what am I talking about? Yeah.
But that's the problem is like, you're right. At first you're like, okay, they need to get into the fantasy stuff because this story is boring. Those two have no chemistry together whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Totally unconvincing. I don't think it's the fault of the bully kid. It's just that main actor. He's so uninteresting.
I think they chose him because he looks like Jonathan Rhys Meyers a little bit.
Looks like a cross between him and Lucas Haas.
Yeah.
So it's like you see, okay, here's an attractive and slightly unusual looking male actor, but he's just dull. He's lifeless. It's a good thing everybody else in here is so colorful and wonderful in it, because otherwise this would be a waste of time. But, all that being said, everything else is so good that I almost forgot how much I hated that guy.
Yeah, no, it's the movie's a lot of fun. Like I said, when you get into it, there's just a lot of freakish imagery in the background where it's visually just fun. It's almost like you are it's almost like you're looking at a Tim Burton movie where somebody would say they ripped off Tim Burton, but they did it well.
I don't think they ripped off Tim Burton. Tim Burton has a very distinctive style, to be sure, that he injects even to when he's producing other people's movies. This is, it's macabre to a certain extent, to be sure, and it's very, very colorful the way that Tim Burton does his films sometimes as well. But the choices they make are so utterly different. I couldn't even, that crossed my mind. I was like, yeah, I don't really think it is. It's not fair to say this is just ripping off Tim Burton, because it's not.
Okay, I got tired of trying to remember this kid's name. His name is Chris Masodlia.
That's
Masodlia, Chris Masodlia.
Is that the bully or the?
That's the good kid.
The boring kid. Okay.
Yeah, and then the other guy is Josh Hutcherson.
Okay, yeah, and he's the kid you'll be like, okay, I've seen him and stuff, I just don't remember.
And I swear that I've interviewed that kid before. I just don't know where I've seen him, but yeah. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. Shit,
it's neither here nor there. The point is, you're going to see it for John C. Reilly, who just totally steals the show. He is so good in this. William Dafoe is a great foil to him as well. Ray Stevenson is in this as one of the two main villainous characters.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that was just from The Punisher.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know something? What was cool about this movie is that it's a movie for teens.
Yeah.
But they're not afraid to say shit and bullshit and things like that. It's like, come on, they don't have to talk down to kids. We all know this.
Great line where the kid's like, so how do we get there? Do we turn into bats? He goes, no, that's all bullshit. And it's so great because we're so used to vampires being, we're very formal and we're very pretentious. And we're always looking angry and upset. And John C. Reilly is kind of like, he's got the whole thing. Like, I've been alive a long time. And so I'm kind of sarcastic and a bit cynical, but he's not a dick. He's not like some pretentious asshole you want to punch in the face like every vampire that's been in the movie in the last 10 years,
Yeah. No, it's in. You know who the director of this is?
Who is the director of this?
Because
he wasn't there.
Paul Weitz, who directed American Pie.
Oh, really? Okay.
But he went on to direct, he was a writer on Ants and went on to direct.
Another movie I really liked.
I think he directed the last. This is the second attempt at taking on a book that's a long series of books. Mm-hmm. I think one was The Golden Compass.
Okay, which everyone was way too hard on. I felt I didn't love it by any stretch of the imagination, but people were definitely harder on it than they should have been.
I didn't like it. But,
well, that's okay. You're wrong sometimes.
Or maybe you know what? I'm probably that was probably his brother that directed that. Okay. I'm sorry, Chris Weitz.
Okay, well then fuck that movie.
Yeah, then fuck that movie. But tell you what, we have to head off to some movies right now.
Has it been an hour of a Coco already?
It's been a little over an hour. So before we go, we're going to answer one email.
We're not going to sing more? Okay.
No, we're done with the singing. So let's see here.
I was just tuning up over here. La, 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 la.
Damn, man, I'm bleeding out my eyes, ears, and my ass. Please.
me.
Okay. All right. Skeleton Jack 154. We're in a rush, so you are the lucky guy to get your question, and the only question that we're going to answer here tonight.
Wait and see whether or not he's lucky when we decide what the answer is.
Okay. Here's my first time asking a question. Hope you'll answer it. That's what we're going to try and do right now. Okay, this is too tailor-made for this. This is like Carlisle. Let's see. That's what you get for Taylor making these questions right here. You don't get them answered. So fuck your thoughts. Oh, wrong show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I get them all mixed up these days too. I can't even remember what show I'm on.
Oh, this is a good one right here.
All right, well let's read. Who's it from?
Well, I'm only looking at the name. I haven't heard never read the question yet.
It's just a picture of a sexy chick, isn't it?
It's the Rabbit Scotsman. He said, let's face it. I like when people start a question like this conversation. Let's face it.
We're talking.
Yeah, I'm in the room with chatting. You. There hasn't been a good mainstream studio horror film in years. The last studio horror film I enjoyed was The Descent, and Pendorm was a breath of fresh air. The only good horror films that are coming from overseas are films like Inside and Martyrs, and they're pushing the limits of the genre. My question is, why do you think mainstream studios can't produce a good horror film? Look, I'll let you answer that. I answer that question all the time because I have some really deep thoughts on that. But please,
Really?
yeah. Please,
Okay.
go
Wow.
ahead.
I didn't realize that would even have concerned you that much. Actually, I
know,
know you
love-
like the zombie film,
No,
but
I love horror, man.
I don't know. Horror is a tough one because, horror fans are very demanding. They want certain types of things in their films, and those things that horror fans specifically want don't merge at all with the idea of demographics and a wider audience. You can't sell decapitations to a wider audience. You just can't. You can't sell dark endings to a wider audience. You can't sell these things in the studio. Is still a big studio that thinks that they just think in terms of numbers. So they're like, oh, horror is really big right now. Cool. Well, we'll just attach this formula that has always worked for us in other types of films onto the horror genre. And then that should make lots of money. I wouldn't go so far as to say there hasn't been a good studio horror film in 10 years. I'm going to count the horror comedy too. Shaun of the Dead. Come on. It was fucking amazing.
But I think they're talking about straight horror.
Straight horror.
And I think that some movies have come out because they weren't gory, that we've kind of not looked at them as horror movies. But I thought Cloverfield could kind of count as a horror movie.
It's a giant monster destroying the city. That's a horror film.
And I thought that was a great approach to how to not only for a horror film, but a great approach to the whole giant monster genre, putting yourself in the situation. Cause we've all seen giant monsters attacking the city. Now, what if we were like first-hand witness to that, just caught in the middle of it? My problem with horror, though, if we want to talk about just straight horror, there's two things that are happening, and I'll probably name more after that. One is remakes.
Yes.
We want to go back and we want to remake every fucking horror movie out there instead of trying to do it. And these remakes are usually lame comparison. I'm sorry. Halloween sucks compared to the original. Friday the 13th, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, this is studio think once again, though. I mean, they're willing to a certain extent to do these things that appeal specifically to horror fans, but only if it's with something that has a label or a pre-made target audience that they know about and they know its size like that. I mean, truth be told, when they have tried to release other, horror films not connected to something, they don't do as well. People in general don't go out and see them. Horror films that are new take a while to build up an audience generally.
Well, that was going to be my other thing here. A lot of people still want to concentrate on monsters and gore, and that brings me to my second point, which is it's that they put all these effects in these movies. The ghost now is some CG effect. I mean, I thought you want to talk about some movies that are what's wrong with horror? You're right. A lot of them have been remade from stuff overseas. I mean, I think we got some good scary images from things like the Grudge and what's it?
The Ring?
The Ring, yeah. But those are remakes, of course.
Yeah.
But a lot of times over here in America, we want to show, oh, look how much money we spent on this great special effect for this ghost or this creature or this zombie or whatever. And a lot of times we see too much.
And it's, okay, if it's a sci-fi film or a fantasy film, I can go with the whole, okay, I can tell that's CG, but I can let it go. I can buy my way into it, that's an actual character with personality because the actor behind it's good enough to pull that off. With horror, when you've got somebody, and it's just sudden being cut open by a monster and the monster is CG and the cut is CG and the blood is CG. The idea is to scare me or gross me out or make me laugh. And none of that shit is going to happen when I can totally tell it's that fake. Yeah. Horror needs to stick more with practical effects.
Yeah, you're right about that because I'm sorry, we are trained now to know that this shit is fake. I mean, we see it so clearly.
Yeah.
And the eye is used to it, which brings me to 3. I told you there'd be more.
Yeah.
Well, there's not enough emphasis on psychological horror.
I agree with that.
We're so obsessed with blood and gore and showing you the creatures, the aliens, the monsters, the ghosts, that we don't get scared by what we don't see. We see way too much. And I'm looking at a movie, something like Paranormal Activity, even though, I myself, it didn't scare me, but I do recognize the value of it scaring other people. And I appreciate that movie very much. The movie does very well because it really does scare people with you hardly seeing anything.
Yep.
And studios, they underestimate that. They think we're guaranteed to at least make some money if we put an impressive special effect in there.
It's like, wow, now we can afford. It's like they saw the documentary about Jaws where they couldn't afford to show the shark, and all they heard was, imagine how much better it would be if we had them. Now that we have the money and the technology that we can show the shark all the time.
Yeah,
it's like you're missing the point entirely.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do a good horror movie where the monster is seen right off the bat. Sure, of course you can, but you need to have a good story and good characters in it. You
Yeah.
know?
And
I mean,
yeah.
stop throwing annoying teenagers in things when we just want to see them get killed.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just saying, you know, we don't even have to put a special effect in there, put a creature in there, but let's just not show so much. Cloverfield had a huge monster. We never saw what it looked like completely in its entire form. We only saw the toy, you know, we finally saw the head of it, and that made us think like, oh, that thing it looks fucked up, but we never saw what it completely looked like. And we had to put all that together in our heads. And they did things in that movie where we were like, okay, why did that person explode after being attacked by these little creatures? And where these little creatures come from? And, you know, we fill in our imaginations, and that freaks us out or scares us more than anything, which brings me to my last point. Number 3, we are dummies.
Number four.
Number 4. Brings me to my last point. Number 4. I got so many, I'm losing track. Thank you. They try to dumb these things down for the teenage market. They're thinking like, oh, we're going to put a jump scare in there because that's what the kids like. The teenage girl loves grabbing onto a guy, or vice versa in some cases. Yeah. When we like have a door slam, our cat jump out and there's nothing there. And it's like, you know what? I'm really sick of that. Really, let's have some creativity with our horror films. That's all you're missing. Just real creativity. And we're not even thinking about what scares me. We're thinking about, oh, how can I scare them and get some money?
Well, Hollywood is a get-rich-quick business, and it really is. It's one of those things that you can make $1 billion if you take the right gamble, you know? And it's attracting, quite frankly, the wrong element on the money side of it. Is attracting people who don't see anything about the numbers, who don't care about the quality. And to some level, they're not entirely incorrect because this has been going on for decades now. As far as money goes, sure. Yeah. These guys are making money on films we're slamming a lot of the time going, what fucking shit? There's still, these people are walking away like bank robbers from this stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. What do you say to these people to make them say, okay, what you're doing is evil?
You don't say anything to them. You try to hope that movies like Paranormal Activity and maybe some horror films that do well overseas set the example, and they don't make a remake of it. Instead, they like look at that and say, okay, we'll try to make something like that. Even if you rip it off and make another movie, it at least is more original than just totally remaking it.
Well, there have been so many great horror films that are even American made, or at the very least Canadian, that have been made over the years that nobody's really even tried to, not necessarily rip off, but appeal to that different brand of horror. And, you know, I always go back to David Cronenberg. I can't help it. He's made some of the scariest films ever. His career is almost flawless as far as like really great movies. I can only think of one movie by him I didn't like. Spider.
Spider. I was going to say Spider.
Yeah, I hated that movie. But, you know, here's a guy who specializes in making everyone feel uncomfortable and mildly nauseous and walk out kind of scared and not even entirely sure why they're scared, just feeling awkward and weird. And that's awesome. That's what good horror is supposed to do, is make you doubt yourself, you know, doubt your own, the believability of your own senses.
Oh yeah. No, you got to learn how to make people have their minds turn against them.
Yeah.
That's to me, that is real horror. When they leave not thinking, wow, that creature looks scary. When they leave like thinking, what does that look like? When you really get a good look at it, or what if I am in the house and it's there because I don't understand it? It could be real. You know, I mean, that's all. It's just,
it's the path. It's the easier path though, because I mean, come on, we're not the smartest country in the world. Our educational scores make that clear.
But we're the scariest.
But we've got a lot of disposable income. So there's a lot of people out there who do continue to get freaked out by dumb, cheap scare movies. The cat, girlfriend jumps. Yeah, there's a lot of people, that's all they really want.
Well, that cat's getting some royalties. Like, you know, that cat gets a call every other day. Hey, is this Mr. Wiggles? We need you to jump out of a corner again.
That cat's been in everything. I'm sick of that fucking cat.
That cat jumps out of everything. It has that same meow, like.
Seriously,
it's either a horror movie or a comedy he's in.
I wonder if that cat meow that's been in so much isn't just like the Wilhelm scream. You know?
Yeah, it is like the Wilhelm scream. It is the cat meow of the Wilhelm scream.
They've just been using the same thing since the Amityville Horror.
And I'm tired of the Wilhelm scream too, by the way. But that is another topic for another day.
Oh, are we done?
We are done. We gotta get out of here. We got some
with
music.
Another Coca.
Man, well, let me get out of here before you make my head explode with singing. Good night, everybody.